Welcome back. Today here in the shop, we're back on the 70 Challenger that we call Stitches, because we are stitching this car back together one piece at a time. If you like fabricating and seeing how to make parts with your own hands, this is the place for you, because the things that we do here aren't just about a 70 Challenger, but about any project that you might be working on. So let's just get into this. I'm Mike, and this is My Car Shop. Some stuff I wasn't expecting to find up in there, so we're gonna have to do some patchwork on that for sure, and that's kind of the pillar that goes up into the roof here. So we've got to cut more of this quarter panel off when we start doing the final fit to put the quarter on, so I'll patch that up once we get that more opened up. But my goal today is to work on this down here and get this part of the tub finished up. So that's what we'll be shooting for, and I've come up with a plan for that. But first I want to go ahead and just get some rust treatment on this here and get that looking a little bit spiffier. Okay, while that rust conditioner is drying, I'm going to start figuring out my plan here, which I kind of already have. But this piece is right now, it's held in place where it needs to be. And so I think I'm probably going to start back here and work my way forward. It still looks like it's a little bit out. There we go, that's better. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. So we'll start working our way from back here. We also need to go ahead and put some pieces on back in here. So I think we'll start on this and fix this corner on here and then start working our way up. So that means I got to take my trunk extension back out to get that part done. So let's do it. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and just do this on the brake. Put this little lip down here like I talked about, and then I'll just pie slice to get around the corner down here rather than doing it on the bead roll. I don't think I need to tip an edge like that for what this is. So just a different way to do it, and it shows you a different way of doing things. So we got our piece bent up now, and it's pretty close. The angle is pretty good. I got to make a little cut in it here, but I'm going to cut this piece of crap off the bottom here. I'm going to cut a lot of this off of here, but right now I'm just trying to get it fitted. And this is a piece of the old trunk extension, so I'm going to just cut that off so that I can start really forming this piece around that bend. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now we'll just cut this little notch out here and we should be real good. I gotta find a pen. Okay, so I just set the trunk extension back in here temporarily because you gotta not just fit, you can't just guess is what I'm saying. So you gotta kind of know what you're doing, and I can see that I've got multiple things that need to happen here. As this bends around this way, it also bends around this way. So I've got to figure out exactly how I'm going to deal with that. Of course, this is going to be down here more-ish, and this bends out a little bit. And there's just, it's just like a giant logic puzzle. So, but yeah, this has got to kind of bend like this. It's quite complicated, you know what I'm saying? It's just quite complicated. I took and put some slices. It's taken me a little bit of time to figure out because of the complexity of the bend. But I put some slices in here, and I'm just kind of forming this around like this to match that curvature. I'm having a hard time getting it to bend on this other side here, so I'm just got to pull this off and kind of force it. Maybe I'll use my vice grips here to help with that. Actually go on this side. It's binding against itself, that's why. Okay. I'm glad I'm showing you this because you don't have to have the the shrinker stretcher and the bead roller and all that to do this stuff. Normally I would be using that, but this is just a little bit complicated, and sometimes I just revert back to the old way. Okay, there we go, we're getting there now. A little bit more, I want to bend it right on that one. There we go. Getting a little bit of buckles in there, but it's not going to matter. This is 18 gauge steel, and once I get this all built and welded, we can just cut it out. There we go, fits like a glove. So that's the first set of bends. So the next set has got to go this way. Haha, that's going to be fun, isn't it? So let's get our trunk extension back up here. And I think I'm going to put a cleco or two in here right now, just to hold this in place rather than using clamps. With the clecos, I'm not going to be able to reef on it, but at least it'll hold it in place while I try to figure out the direction to go next. Uncle Dunkle. All right, here's what we're doing. So I had to do a little head scratching. I tried to share the details with you, but I don't want to bore you to death either. So I think the next step here, this curvature is off a little bit in this piece, which is no big deal. But I think I need to make the mating piece, basically the piece that goes in here. So I got to do a little shaping to match it. I got to shaping to match the contour there. And then we're going to just go ahead and weld the lip on here so that we can start clamping this together like so and making it all work. We break things down into little bites, and just one bite at a time we move forward. And it may seem like this takes forever. Part of that is if I was just working on it and just doing it, it wouldn't take nearly as long as it takes to do the video and do this, make sure I have the shot lined up and so forth. I've been out here working on this maybe now for half an hour, 45 minutes at the most. And some of that was just kind of getting my brain in gear and so forth. So, to do this whole thing, if this was my 8-hour-a-day job, 5 or 6 days a week, this car would be light years ahead. I work out here in the shop on these projects a couple hours for each video, maybe some of them a maximum of 5 or 6, but generally it's a few hours and that's it. So it's not like this takes a huge amount of time. Does it take more time than buying parts and putting it in? Yeah, of course it does. But again, the cost savings is worth it to me, plus I just enjoy this. I like the logic puzzle of fitting this stuff together. So I don't want to discourage you by sharing all of these details, but I feel like it wouldn't be honest. It wouldn't be an honest representation of doing this kind of work if I didn't share all the details with you, and I would be lying to you if I said it doesn't take time, because of course it does. But I don't want you to feel like completely overwhelmed at how long it would take for you to do something like this. Remember, it's not as much about the completed project as it is about just enjoying the journey of the project. So I've had this car since I got it around the same time I brought the Oakland home, so in the fall of 19. So I've had it for a little over 2 years. I didn't work on it for pretty much a year. I pounded the roof back out and that's it. The whole project from the very beginning, from dragging it out, is here on the channel. If you follow this playlist or go over to this playlist on this Challenger project, Stitches project, it's all here. I'm sharing every bit of this project with you. That was kind of my intent, was I'm going to do this car, I'm going to fabricate this car, and I'm going to share every bit of it, what I do on the channel. Part of it is because I want to go back and watch in 10 years as I've been enjoying this car and go, oh yeah, I forgot I did that. Oh yeah, I forgot I did that. And part of it was to share with you guys the process of doing it so that you can see, yes, you can fabricate stuff. Yeah, it's going to take some time. But I've spent just about as much time trying to get new parts to fit sometimes, because a lot of times they don't fit well. So that's just my little speech for today. I don't want you to be discouraged about the amount of time that it takes. Forget about the end. Forget about getting it done. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the process of going out in the shop and chipping away at something. And if all we do today, and I don't know, maybe all we do today, is get this little piece done and we don't get on to this, so what? It's one more bite. And eventually you take enough bites, the whole elephant's eaten. So, again, keep your perspective on doing this stuff, because it's enjoy it, doing it, or don't do it. I'm going to dolly this in a little bit with this dolly here. Better on it later, but I just need to get it in a rough shape so that I can start to take and make this work. So I cut this to fit inside of here, like so. Of course, none of the curvature is right yet, but I'm just making this to kind of match here and come along there. Kind of answering my own questions when it comes to this bend the more I'm looking at it. So actually, this goes over this way further. I guess I better get this marked where this goes, otherwise I'm gonna have an issue. So basically, I need this datum mark here. Otherwise I would have been in the wrong spot. Okay, now I know that this kind of lines up right there, and where this has to whoop, whoop, and this is way too long, of course, but I wanted to leave it extra long until I got it bent. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use the stretcher on this to make it match that thing there. Yep, that thing there. So you can see what we've got here. It's kind of following that curve pretty good. A little work to do there yet. And now we got to trim that thing to fit in here now that we kind of got an idea where it goes. So just got to cut a little teeny bit off here because that edge bent around, of course, and it's no longer straight. And I'll probably give it a little extra cut just to give me some latitude. So pull it back apart, lather, rinse, and repeat. I also pulled one of the clecos out because it was down a little bit this way and it needed to come up. Okay, so we're getting there. It's got a ways to go, but definitely progress. So before I go much further, now I need to cut this off, which means I need to look at where the front piece of this thing is going to fall in place. So got to move you out of the way so that I can get after it and get in there and look at it. So there we go. I'm getting closer. Piece up here is getting good. I'll take this apart piece by piece and show you where we're at. I'm going to cut this down here because I'm going to make this whole piece here probably up to about here as one, and then I'll make the rest of it. But I've got to get the quarter panel back on here before long and just verify fitment before I start welding stuff. But overall, I think it's looking pretty good. This needs to bend out just a little bit to line up here with the panel. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So we'll. Is it exactly like factory? Of course not. Do I care? Of course not. But it's close and it's decent. Remember, all of this gets filled in with seam sealer anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But I think we're getting to the point here now where we're going to start melting metal pretty quick. We'll probably attach this piece in here first, but I got one more cut. I want to make that cut right there, and then, well, like I said, I'm going to take this apart piece by piece and let you see where we're at. So, okay, so I've been able to put this in and out as a unit now. So that's progress. And of course our little inner piece that's going to be welded onto that there. And then here's what we've got. So I need to, like I said, trim this up here, and this needs to also kind of be bent a little bit and hold, but we're getting there. Probably more like that and that, but a little bit of work there. But I want to cut this first, straight up and down here. So I also thought it would be worth showing you this part. How I've done this. So on a curve that way, you just cut it and then just kind of fold the metal over, and it makes for a very nice, thick, strong curve because you'll weld it and grind it, and it'll look pretty darn respectable. So could have done that on the shrinker stretcher some, but I just felt like this was the better way to do it here. And let it dry while I go and partake of some victual. So we're going to go ahead and grind this up and run some welds on there and get this part done because it's pretty well done, and we just got to finish it up. So. Okay, so figured I might as well practice a little bit with the TIG since I haven't been using it a whole lot. I started at that far one. Well, I actually did the inside first and realized I had the wrong tungsten, so I burned a hole through, but came on the outside and then started at that end and kept working my way this way. Ran out of fill rod on that last one, but it turned out pretty respectable overall, so let's grind that up and see what she looks like. Turned out fairly respectable. Not perfect, but again, we don't care for what it is. So let's go bit that back on the car and make sure everything's fitting as it should. So our bit pieces are fitting together nicely now. I formed this a little bit, so yeah, we're getting there. So I think we want to bring our piece here down now and see how we're going to fit in. So-ish, kind of, sort of, yep, like that. Very good. Yeah, we'll have to form that just a little teeny bit, but that's going to be fine. I think we're lining up pretty good. So I think the next step now is to go back down here and cleco the pan here to the brace where it needs to be sure where things are lining up, and then I think we'll fit the quarter panel one more time. Then we can probably weld this onto the car. This goes on like so, sort of, kind of, except helps if you put it on the right side. Yeah, so then we just put our bolt in here and draw that all together, and I think we're going to be pretty good. So it's fitting well. We've got a little, space in there, but this isn't tied together quite right anyway, so I'm fine with that. This piece is fitting nicely here, pulls up tight. Everything's looking pretty darn good. So I think we're pretty close to being ready to, it's got a little bit of flex in there. But our main thing is, I think we want to go ahead and weld this piece that we just finished into the wheel tub. So we'll go ahead and move forward on that now and just fit each little piece as you go. That's what it takes. So I think we're ready to trim off some of this garbage in here. Just get it out of the way so we can actually fit everything the way we want. I'm probably going to do a cut and butt on this as well, but just want to get those pieces out of my way. And I see I got a little burr there. I got that down as soon as I find my hammer. Excuse me. I think I want to trim this back in here just a little bit. No, actually, I'm going to leave it like that. Yep, I think we'll do the cut and butt out here, and I may just overlap weld that in there. We'll see. Fitting nicely anyway, so I got to grind it up and okay, so we've got it cut down in now. So we tack welded it, we cut it, pushed it down, I peeled the metal off the backside, and I've got it tack welded in a few spots. So now we're going to go through and finish welding. Something that I do is I'll use a piece of brass on the backside to just help with a little backing. Just helps keep things from burning. So we'll just use a pair of welding clamps to put that on there. Can't always do that, but where I can, I like to. It just makes life a lot easier. You can use aluminum also. Something to just be a heat sink to take some of that heat away, so that your weld stays a little more focused. A little more grinding to do, but good enough for now till we get all this fitted together. It's nice and solid. Probably going to put a little, well, I don't think I need to put a piece in there because the fender piece goes across there anyway, so we'll probably leave that like that. So let's get our other piece back on there and fit it and see how it is. I also want to shoot some paint on there just to keep that from rusting. So the next thing we want to accomplish is getting this flange piece that we made for the front of this attached. So I've got it clamped good now to the piece that we just put in. And we're going to just run a couple of clecos down in there. Make sure that we have everything we want. Fits beautifully. I'm really happy with that. We'll have a little bit of grinding to do there, but not much. So we'll drill some holes down through there, put some clecos in it, and we should be good to go. Whoops, it's walking. Stop walking. It's walking, Christopher. Okay. Need more cowbell. I need a new battery. Here we go. Now we know where we got to weld it. Pull it out of there, take it over, and get her done. Get her done. So I got it tacked on the back, and now I'm going to go ahead and peen this over a little bit. Put that down where I want it. Make a decision here if I'm going to pull that down or not. I think I'm going to, but that may mess me up a little bit, so I need to really take a look at that with that other piece that goes in here. So once I'm satisfied with that, I'll run a bead on here solid and grind it off and make it fit perfectly flush against the wheel well, and we should be good to go. So it's looking good. I got a little bubble right in here that I'll deal with once I go and weld that piece on the front. So I think we're good. I got a little bit of dolly work to do here. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet. I may just put a little slice in here and kind of dip that down. I may just leave it. I don't know. But it's getting really close. So it's looking there pretty good, eh? I'm really happy about that and stuff. So I've got it peened over and ground over now real nicely. So we'll go ahead and run a bead across that. And then once we get that done, we'll come up in here and address this little bit up in here that just needs to be tweaked just a little bit. So good to go. So we got it welded along the edges there, and just going to grind it down now, and then we'll go fit it back in the car again, and I think we'll be in good shape. Just like that. Fits like a glove. Squirt some paint on that. We got to pull it back apart to get paint down in that inside edge, but looking good, fitting good. So, big work accomplished here for sure. Everything feels like it's lining up good. Of course, we'll test the quarter panel once more, but I'm really happy with the way this turned out. God, it almost looks like I know what I'm doing. Don't tell anybody, because I don't. I'm just making it up as I go. Well, one more step forward, more done, looking good. Next step is to probably attach this outer pan to the upper pan permanently, so we'll probably work on that. And then, of course, start moving our way up this way and getting this wheel well blended into this wheel arch. I've got to test fit the quarter panel one more time, but I'm out of time today. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for being here. I hope this was both entertaining and educational. Can't emphasize enough how much I just absolutely love doing this. It's just such a buzz for me to take a flat piece of metal and turn it into something that looks like this. If you haven't tried it, do it. Go get yourself a couple hammers and a dolly and a block of wood or something, and just make yourself a little something out of metal. There's no, and so you're going to suck at it. That's how you be. That's how you get better, right? We talked about that on one of the episodes in the series, How to Do Fabrication That Doesn't Suck. You start out by doing it that does. I certainly didn't start out doing things this way. I certainly didn't start out making things that look this good. And I'm sure in another 10 years, I'll look at this and go, that was really crude, because it's a skill that you continue to develop the more you do it. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. Hit the bell so you receive those notifications. We are on that face thing. We are on your instant grandma, and /my car shop is how you find us over there, and lots of great discussion going on. We also have a private group over on Facebook called Fabrication and Metalwork, where we share more about techniques, and other people share stuff, and it's kind of a fun little group that's been growing very quickly over on the face thing. So, all right, I feel like there's something else we should talk about. Oh yeah, that's right, rock.